Hi everybody, it's Tatiana, and this video is being done in a different way from a different angle today because this is my third time recording this video. The first couple of times I did it, I was just, I think too excited. And I have since had some time to think as well as talk about the book that I'm going to talk to you about today, which is Kintu by Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi. I do not have the book with me anymore because I borrowed it from the library, but I will use as my thumbnail a clip from a freeze frame photo from one of the other two videos that I recorded while I still had the book. But after talking about it to my dad while I was talking to him and telling him I think that he should read it, my thoughts are a little bit more together. That may not seem to be the case since I'm currently stumbling over my words, but we're going to keep rolling with this because I promise this is the last time I'm recording this video. So, Kintu is a book written by an Ugandan author based on Ugandan legend, and it is historical fiction set in a fictionalized setting of Uganda. So this is going to actually supplement as my review of the book as well as my August wrap up, because that's the only book that I got to in August, because August was a pretty difficult month and I took my time reading the book, and I am so glad that I did. So it has the story of, it starts with the story of Kintu, which is the start of this line that it follows from point A to the end of the story, point Z, and you have it's split into books, and each book is a different person. They're different, a different person in the bloodline of Kintu and their story, and that's pretty much all that I'm going to say about what the book is about. The big thing that I want to get across about the novel is that everybody needs to read it. At least everybody who looks like me. I have not read any other book by a Ugandan author. I have not read any other book set in Uganda. So for that difference in itself, it was a wonderful read. Also, I have not read a book that describes the effects of colonization on those who are colonized, as well as some parts of this book did. And I mean, it may not, there may be some other people who read it who don't think that it's that prolific or profound of a description, but this is not something that I typically read. And as someone who lives in one of the original 13 colonies and everything that goes along with that, colonization is something that, even though you're told what it is, you're told what it is in a way that makes it sound like it was a good thing. And the negatives of colonization are not shared, or were not shared, at least when I was in school. I don't even know if colonization is talked about in school these days. I sounded really old when I said that. But as someone who hears other people talk about colonization, and other people who don't live where I live, as far as where I am in the US, other people who live in other countries talk about it, and it's, you know, you hear something, you hear a different perspective of it because that's not what you've gotten. And so to get that from this author in the way that it is discussed and described in this book was everything. And it's still sticking with me, and I think it's going to stick with me for a while. There are so many other things about this story that I thoroughly enjoy, but I can't really share that with you because that would be something that I consider to be a spoiler or spoilers, and I don't want to share that. I do want to say that the story will stick with you. All of the stories will stick with you. There are characters who stood out to me so much in this story, either because you empathize with them or you understand their thought process, you understand how they feel or why they feel the way that they feel. And it's that connection that you can have with the character, even though that character is thousands of miles, set thousands of miles away from you. And that's the beautiful thing about books, but not just about books, but books about cultures that you don't know. There were so many times that I was reading perspectives in the story, and I heard it was like reading myself coming out of some of their mouths. Which was very interesting because the author is a Ugandan author and a translator is not listed on in the information for the book. So I think she may have translated this into English herself with the help of an editor. So if that's the case, these are her directly, her words and her story and her thoughts, or things that she's picked up over the years. And so to hear things that sound so familiar to not only things that I say, but things that I think coming out of a story that is set and based in Uganda, put a connection between myself and the characters and another connection between myself and Africa, which I really, really, really enjoyed. Denise over at Denise D. Cooper Arts Books Life has a channel about 5 things that she wants in a book that she got from Kintu. I will link that in the description box below. If you're not familiar with her channel, go check her out. She has some great discussions, especially lately. Whoo, she's had some great discussions just about books and their relationship to life and her thought process. And those are the things that I really, really enjoy talking about, because that's how I think about books that I read as well, albeit books that tend to be of a much more frivolous nature. But I think about them in the same way. So I've really been enjoying her discussion videos that she's been uploading lately. So I'll link that video in the description box below, but check out some of her other videos that she's recorded and uploaded within the last within the month of August, because I don't know when I'm actually going to get this video uploaded. I'm so behind because August has been a difficult month. So I have said so like 50 times in this video. Beyond that, the relationship or the characters being relatable, the things that they say being relatable, the description of colonization and the effects of colonization on Uganda as a country, the story of Kintu and Kintu's descendants, the way that the story is written, the fact that I do really believe it's translated by the author, so you're not getting someone else's interpretation of how this will best sound in English. It's her interpretation of how this will best sound in English, which makes it makes a difference. If you are familiar with reading translated works, and if you have had the opportunity to talk to people, even not even translated works, translated songs. If you take a song that's done in Spanish and listen to the English translation of it, and then take it to somebody who knows who knows how to speak Spanish fluently to translate the song for you, there's so many changes that take place within that translation. It's the same thing with books. That's just the easiest, most relatable way that I can put it out there. But though that's 7 things. No, I can count 6 things that I thoroughly enjoyed about this novel. And I am just really looking forward to the opportunity to read it again, to make tabs in the novel, and 7. There were 7 things. That's why I said 7. 7, the inclusion of things that are or were, when the novel was written and in the history of Africa, part of the African condition with society and health and family and war in the continent of Africa, but set in Uganda, and not having some things being put into the novel that they're not explicitly stated, but because you know the history behind those things, or because I knew the history behind those things without them being stated. I knew what was going on, and it added to the enjoyment of the novel, as well as the inability to breathe sometimes. So it was that was the seventh thing that I counted but didn't show. But yeah, I cannot recommend this novel enough. Dee Dee at Brown Girl Reading plans to read it soon. Alan from Alan Janae has bought her copy. I don't know when she's actually going to get to it, but I'm looking forward to. Alan Janae's channel is Yep, I Read It. I'm looking forward to them reading this story so I can hear what they thought about it and discuss it with them. And I would love to discuss it with other folks who have read it. So if you have read it, it's not getting a lot of notice. I did not hear about it until not Dee Dee, Denise talked about it on her channel, and she heard about it from Ink Paper Blog. I think that's right, either on his channel or on his blog. But I hadn't heard about it before Denise did her video. So I cannot recommend this book highly enough. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've said that already, so I'm going to stop. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a good weekend whenever you see this video. Peace out.